In just a few days, patch 1.4 will release, and the official launch of Honkai Star Rail on PlayStation 5. Everything's gonna look shiny and brand new, making you tempted to pull on everything. But in this video, I'll be giving you all the information you need so you can make the right decision. I'll be going over each banner and assessing the value on them, and this video will mostly be focused on the PlayStation 5 community. So with that out the way, let's get into this, yeah? Jingliu is our first banner. She's the first limited ice damage dealer, and she follows the path of destruction. Destruction is known for being bulky and dealing good damage while having HP involved in their mechanics. Jingliu doesn't stray from this identity, and she'll be draining your team's HP so she could increase her damage. In the live stream, this looks to be roughly 5% of their health. She will also consume no SP while she's in her spectral transmigration state. When she uses up the crescent moon on the bottom, she will then revert back to her regular state. Now the HP draining part may sound bad, so she'll definitely want a healer on her team. Good thing we all get Natasha for free, and some of you may get Bailu or Lynx from the standard pulls. Natasha and Lynx can solo sustain a team if you build them properly, while Bailu will have an easier time since she has higher base stats and she has AoE on demand on her skill. Jingliu reminds me of Blade. He came out in patch 1.2 and shook the meta with how easy it was to fit him into any team. The fact that he doesn't consume a lot of SP and he does very good damage is where I see Jing Liu falling in. She'll be able to fit into multiple team compositions and dish out good damage as the sub DPS, or if you really like her, you can make her the main DPS. The only reason I can see for you not pulling on her is if you don't like the HP draining mechanic, or if you already have Yanqing from the standard banner as having two 5-star ice DPS clashes with elemental synergy. When our account is so fresh, we want to diversify so we have an easier time against multiple enemies. While pulling for Jingliu, you may get Tingyun. Tingyun is a lightning harmony, and she will be an amazing support for Jingliu and the rest of the roster. Instead of me listing out who she pairs well with, let's just say who she isn't, as that'll be a lot shorter. The only damage dealer she doesn't synergize the best with is Blade. Yep, that's right, only one unit, so getting her will be a massive boon to your roster. She gives an attack buff, buffs their damage, and replenishes their energy so they could use their ultimate more. If there's one 4-star unit in the game that I could have 2 copies of so I could use them on 2 different teams, it would be Tingyun! That's how amazing she is, and you should definitely level her up. Another unit you may get while pulling for Jingliu is Qing Shui. She's a Quantum Erudition unit which excels in AoE damage. You'll get one for free just by reaching level 21 and doing 3 floors of the Forgotten Hall, but getting multiple copies of her is where she shines. While every character benefits from Eidolons, Qing Shui does more as she gets a massive damage spike at E4. At E4, Qing Shui can compete with the third banner, Seele. Now getting 4 copies is complete RNG just like her kit, so don't hold your breath. But this does increase Jingliu's banner value even more since she can make you skip on getting Seele. Our last rate up unit is Sampo, or what I like to call him Shampoo. He's a Wind Nihility unit which excels in Wind Shear. If you like seeing your opponents slowly die from damage over time, then you may enjoy him. He's a great unit and excels at breaking enemies who are weak to wind since his attack bounces 5 times. And if there's only one target on the field, well, they take all the hits! So far, Jingliu's banner is looking really good with her being a fantastic DPS, Tingyun being one of the best harmony units in the game, Qing Shui being a decent substitute for Seele, and Shampoo for wind damage over time. Topaz is the first limited fire damage dealer who follows the path of Hunt. Hunt excels on single target damage and buffing their speed so they could attack more often. Topaz embraces this path with her summon Numbi. Topaz places a debuff on enemies, which makes them take more damage from follow-up, and then Numbi advances their action. This is a form of speed manipulation, so if you manage to get Clara from your standard pulls, then Topaz is looking to pair really well with her. Other than Clara, we have March 7 with her counter girl power, her to spin, fine, I'll do it by myself, Himiko's talent Victory Rush, and Yanqing's one with the sword. There are other follow-ups in the game, but since you just started, you won't have access to these as those were banner units. Topaz reminds me of Kafka, which was seen as an enabler of damage over time, but the community didn't think she would be fine by herself. Well, the Doomsayers were wrong, as Kafka ended up being one of the strongest units and she was able to zero-cycle Memory of Chaos 10. This is the biggest flex you could have in the game, and I feel like the Doom posters will be wrong again. While Topaz would love to have someone that has follow-up on her team, I think she'll do fine perfectly on her own. The fact that she gets multiple turns per cycle makes her a very strong contender, and for future proof, just know that this will be the weakest version of Topaz we will get. Once we get better follow-up units to pair with her, then her value skyrockets just like her ultimate. While pulling for Topaz, you may get the new 4-star unit, Gwenifin. She's a fire nihility just like Shampoo, and she'll slowly cook your opponent until they die. Gwenifin also makes the enemy takes more damage over time, which is very strong for a dot damage dealer. Usually Nihility is damage over time or debuffs, and she combines both sides. I see her being very good on multiple teams, kinda like how Pella is right now. Another Nihility unit you may pick up is Luca. He's a physical Nihility unit which is similar to Gwenifin's overall kit. He can put a bleed on them, which is damage over time, remove a debuff that the enemy has, and his ultimate increases how much damage they take. Luca is a solid unit to pick up if you didn't get Pella from your standard pulls. There are only 2 units currently in the game that could dispel a buff from the enemy, which makes your life a lot easier. Our last rate up unit is Su Sheng. She's a physical hunt which excels in a team that breaks the opponent. For those who love to diversify their elements, she may seem better to you as her kit shines when the enemy is broken. She normally attacks once and has a chance to attack twice, but if they're broken, she's guaranteed that second hit. Her Eidolons are amazing, with E1 being the best you could get. Instead of using a skill point when the enemy's broken, she can use her skill for free as long as you have 1 skill point on her turn. This makes her so good, and she could fit into most teams once you get this Eidolon. So Topaz is a great fire damage dealer if you didn't pull Himiko from your standard pulls, and she's future proof because we'll get even better follow-up damage units later in the game to synergize with her. Gwenifin is looking to be a solid support on most teams. Luca with a Dispel is invaluable, and then Su Sheng who could fit on most teams. The only downside on this banner is there's 2 physical element units. The last banner is a rerun, but for us PlayStation 5 users, it'll be our first time seeing her. Seele has been dominating the meta ever since Honkai Star Rail released, and the queen has not given up her throne. She's a quantum hunt character that has a very unique mechanic. Remember when I said hunt characters excel at speed to get more turns? Well, if she kills an enemy, then she gets another turn. She has the highest speed in the game, and she gets 25% more speed, making her very fast. Her multipliers are also really high, when one would expect these to be low so they could be balanced out with this insane speed. Nope, Hoyoverse decided to give her the God Kit, and she makes it work like no one else. I don't see her leaving the meta anytime soon, as Hoyoverse has been releasing more content with enemies that could be seen as fodder to proc her talent for more turns. I didn't pull for her on my PC account, but I won't be making that mistake again. If you get Bronya from the standard banner, then that's her best support, with Tingyun being her second best. I highly recommend you get her if you will be skipping on Jingliu's banner, as having a strong damage dealer will make Memory of Chaos and Simulated Universe a lot easier. She shares the same rate up as Topaz, so there's nothing else to say there. So now that you have all the information that you need on the banners, I just want to put this out there before I forget. You should pull for who you like, because eventually your account will be good enough to clear all the content the game has. Now if you want a head start, there's obviously some units that'll get you there quicker than others. Now from a resource efficiency standpoint, I think you should pull depending on who you get from your standard 5-star, as elemental coverage is huge in the early stages of progressing your account. There were 2 early Memory of Chaos stages that kept me from getting 30 stars because I didn't have the elemental coverage. Memory of Chaos is a weekly content resets every 2 weeks. It gives leveling up resources and 60 jades per floor. This means every 2 weeks you can add an extra 600 jades to your account, which will allow you to pull on future banners. This is why I emphasize on getting 2 solid teams, as this is a huge resource gain, especially if you'll be free to play like me. I'll be making character guides, covering the game mechanics, and much more, so if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to see more, especially if you want PlayStation 5 catered content. Until the next video, I'll see ya.